Bonjour, 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 and welcome back to my channel, The Waves of Your Soul. In today's video, I wanted to talk about oracle decks. I feel like I've been talking about tarot decks quite a bit on my channel recently. I've had a lot of tarot favorites I want to share with you, and overall, tarot is kind of like my main love. But that doesn't mean that I don't also love oracle decks, because I love them. I think they can bring so much to a practice, and there's been a few I've been enjoying in the last few months since the beginning of the year that I kind of wanted to share here with you, talk about oracle decks, talk about how I've been using them, the different ways I might use them, just giving a little bit of love to the oracle, which I feel like I've not done in a while and which was very much overdue in my opinion. I'm excited to share a little bit more about my practice, how I use those decks, and maybe for you to discover some decks or rediscover some decks. So if it's your first time here, hi, my name is Marine. I'm a French tarot reader and a lover of everything tarot, oracle, and self-empowerment related. On my channel, I love talking about decks. As you're gonna see, it's a huge passion of mine. I'm obsessed, okay? It's love. We're committed. This is a long-term thing, and I've got no intention of getting out of this marriage. Because I love cards. My love language is reading the cards. I love reading tarot. It's like one of the things that brings me the most joy. So I also like to offer on my channel tarot readings, pick a card readings that are all dedicated to helping you to help yourself. So if you'd like to see any of those things on your timeline, make sure to subscribe. I would love to have you. If you enjoy this video, you can leave it a thumbs up or a comment. It does really help my channel to grow, and it's a nice exchange of energy. In the description box, you'll find all the names of the decks that I'm talking about today. If I can find some links, I'll put them down there as well as all of my other social medias and other videos you might want to check out. I think that's it. I've done my good little YouTuber intro. So without further ado, let's get into checking out some of the oracle decks I've been loving lately that I just wanted to talk about. Let's go. So there are different ways for me to use oracle decks. I have kind of like different ways that I integrate them into my practice, and as I'm sharing with you the decks that I've been loving this last few months, since pretty much the beginning of the year, let's say, I will also share with you how I integrate them into my practice, whether it's for reading cards, journaling, rituals, or magic, or anything like that. So let's start with a little deck I actually shared recently in my monthly favorites. I believe it was my monthly favorites for June. This is called Nature's Wisdom Message Card, I think. I'm not 100% sure because the name is a little bit of a mouthful, so I don't want to talk shit. So in case I get it wrong, just make sure to check the description box so you get the full name correctly. But it's a mass market deck, and I got it for like very reasonable. Definitely a good little mass market deck that for me packs a punch, and that I wanted to share with you because it's been one of the decks I've been using the most this year. It has been living on my altar, and as you can see, it is a photographic deck where every single card represents an image from something related to nature, but on the back of the cards you have 3 different messages. So for example, if we look at stone, the 3 messages are: memories of childhood and past lives will be recalled, your purpose will become clear, personal records and ancient knowledge will be revealed to you soon, focus your intent, know who you are, learn new skills, dump bad habits, take responsibility for your life. So as you can see, those 3 messages are very distinct, and there's different ways that I've been kind of like handling those. This has been living on my altar, and what I've been using this for is purely daily card pull. Like, give me an insight every single day for what I need to look at for my day, just a little message of guidance, a little message of support. The fact that it's so short, because what I usually do is when I pull the card, before I pull the card, I think, okay, I'm just gonna read the middle message, for example, and then I'll do that, or the top one or the bottom one. You get the gist. I usually, before I pull the card, think in advance of what part of the message I want to read, or sometimes I read all of it and just part of the message will appear that makes them very clear to me. But what I like is that, one, the messages are short and sweet, and sometimes, especially for a daily guidance card, it's kind of what I need. I don't want to be sitting there reading a guidebook for ages. If I'm just getting ready to start my day and I just need a message of guidance, short and sweet does it for me. The second part of what why I love this deck so much is the fact that it's relating to nature, natural element, whether it's like animals, parts or plant parts, things like that. It just helps me to come back to myself and to help me to work with my mindfulness practice, which really revolves around the idea of being in the present moment. Because I navigate the waters of chronic pain and chronic illness, and it's been such a huge part of my life the recent years, it is very easy for me to disassociate and disconnect from my body and switch off and just boop, go somewhere else, because being in my body can be very painful. So sometimes I just don't want to be in there, and it's easy for me to just disconnect and escape. So working with decks like this that help me come back to nature things that I can hold, touch, even smell. Like if I pull this card, I could think about the smell of garlic, for example. Or if I pull something that is tactile, I could think about the touching bark and what that would feel like. It kind of helps me to come back to my body. And so it's been a very helpful tool for me to work in that way of like reminding me to be in the present moment, reminding me to come back to my body, reminding me that I am a part of this natural world. Even when I feel out of it, even when I feel like I'm disconnected, I'm still part of it. And this little deck has been very helpful for this particular practice of grounding, of rooting, of being present. As well as, like I was saying, the messages just hit. they pack a punch. And so for daily guidance, they've been very helpful. This would also be great for example, like wrapping up a reading. I feel like it would be fantastic. Just last guidance. On top of that, the images are just so beautiful. I think there's something so poetic about real life images because nature is beautiful, even cats in their own way. And honestly, this might be my favorite card in the deck because life is shit sometimes, okay? So I'm glad that we can actually agree to put that in there. But more seriously, nature is beautiful, the world is beautiful, and sometimes we can take it for granted, even down to the snail shell that we might find in our garden. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful present. It's a beautiful miracle in itself. So this also is a reminder of how lucky we are to be in the presence of Earth, how responsible we are for taking care of it, and how we should enjoy everything that nature has to offer, but also do the most we can to protect it. Now, something that I've been using behind the scene this year, I don't think I've even talked about it in any of my favorites. I don't even know if I've shared it in a haul or anything, but it's kind of something I've been using in the backgrounds behind the scene for my own self, is the Batgirl Oracle by Katie Skelly. I have the Batgirl Tarot as well, which I love. Originally, when I ordered the Batgirl Oracle, I received the Batgirl Tarot by mistake. And so that was kind of like not what I had anticipated to get, but it turned out to be a wonderful surprise because I've ended up loving the tarot deck. And then a few months later, I ordered the Oracle, which I still wanted, and now it's finally part of my collection. So I've been using it kind of like behind the scene. This is an indie deck, and this is truly an archetype kind of deck. And that's how I've been using it, but it's an archetype deck with a twist, and that's why I've been so excited to use it, and that's why I've been enjoying it so much, because it's not your stereotypical archetypes of like the healer or the teacher or things like that. The archetypes here are a lot more quirky, punchy, and yet fun. So this has brought a lot of joy to my practice, but it's also made me look at myself with new lens that I didn't think would be as potent as they are. So we have the femme fatale, the final girl, the heretic. Those are all archetypes that we could embody. The Earth Mother, and I will say that this deck is very female representative. I don't know how you say that. Obviously, because it's called the Batgirl Oracle, so you're expecting that in the first place. So this is also a love letter to women or anyone who identifies as, you know, feminine or with female attributes. And I think that this deck is very like empowering for those of us who want to tap into the different facets of the feminine. We have things that are very sweet, like the magical girl, for example, which for me gives a lot of inner child. You know, that facets of us when we were children where we would be able to conjure completely magical world and make up things in our head that would feel real and play with not very much but our imagination. That's a wonderful energy to tap into if you're wanting to work with your creativity. You have the ingenue, which again taps into more like this naive. But then, like we saw before, we had the femme fatale, or here the diva, which are completely other different aspects of the feminine. So this has been very interesting for me to look at all the different archetypes that we could tap into. Some of them are very different and unique, like the alien, and yet all in our ways are alien to someone. If we are from another country, we speak a different language, we have different taste, we maybe follow different religions or different values or ideas, we could represent an alien to someone else living in this world who's completely different to us. So all of those archetypes, even though a lot of them are fun and cheeky and kind of like even a bit tongue-in-cheek, they're still very interesting and clever, I think. I've been using this deck to kind of see every month or so what archetype do I need to embody. Some of them have been very challenging. Like I had the maid, for example, one of my months, and at first I was like, okay, I know I need to clean my room, but you don't need to be rude to me and read me to filth like that little oracle deck. So at first I was like, okay, the audacity of you telling me I need to clean is a bit rude, but okay. But actually, that's not what the maid is about, and that's when it's interesting to go deeper. The maid, and this is where it's interesting to read the guidebook, because there's a lot that's been put here. So the maid, if we have a look at it, it says, sees everything and tells nothing. In Pulp Fiction, the maid is typically a meek domestic worker who peers into the daily intrigues of the family she's working for. Be it excessive consumption, familial corruption, or adulterous affairs, the maid is expected to sweep the scandals of the everyday up and out of sight. Due to her exclusive access to people's lives, she may often play as a star witness in a trial or get caught up in a blackmail scheme. But the maid typically represents some form of class repression or exploitation, until she gets the chance to turn the table. When pulled upright, the maid may signal that you're being asked to keep a big secret that's weighing on you, that you've seen too much to turn a blind eye, etc., etc. And then when pulled in reverse, the maid may signal that you're feeling put upon and made to do dirty work you didn't sign up for. She may also signal you're bored with your routine and are craving excitement. And then at the bottom you have upward and reverse keywords. So suddenly you're looking at the maid not as a job or a social position, but actually as the archetype in movies, in books, in like pop culture, the ways that the maid has been depicted in storyline. And suddenly, yes, she becomes this like secret witness. Often she sees things, she has the ability to turn the story. She's the one that people might overlook, and yet for a wrong reason, because she usually knows a lot more than she appears to. and so this deck is full of humor. Here we have the Podest. It's full of humor, full of cheekiness, but also it's kind of like it's been quite good for shadow work, I must say, because there might be some archetypes that I really don't want to embody. Like, I'm not gonna lie, if I was to pull out the Possessed, not ideal, and yet that would make me think, okay, in what way have I let someone or something completely take over my autonomy, take over my free will? Am I spending too much time on social media? Am I possessed with something or someone or some form of influence that I'm not realizing? And so this is also a really good deck for, I think, shadow work in that sense, and exploring different facets of ourselves. And honestly, I feel like I'm only scratching the surface, because I've not had this for a year yet. Like, it's only been a few months, so I've only been working with a few cards, but it's been truly interesting. I'm excited to put this to work for a pick a card reading. Actually, I'm thinking of doing something dedicated to this concept of unique archetypes, and I wanted to share it with you here because I don't think I've talked about it on my channel, and yet it's something that I've been really enjoying using. This is a little hidden gem, to be honest, the Batgirl Oracle by Katie Skelly. Let's go back to a mass market deck that honestly I don't think I've ever shown you on my channel again, and this is why again I wanted to do this particular video, because I feel like I have some oracle decks that I've been using for months or even years. I've never really had a chance to talk to you guys about it, and that's my own fault. So I'm here to set the record right, give them their time to shine, I would say. Things that maybe I haven't gotten around to share with you until now. So this is a deck I've had for a long time, the Power of Surrender cards by Judith Orloff. This is, what is that, Hay House? Yeah, it's Hay House deck. It was very affordable when I got it. At the time, Book Depository was still a thing. I think I paid like less than 15 again euros for this. And this is cool and punchy and just one of those decks that I always go back to when I know I need something that's gonna just tell me what I need to know without needing, again, to go into a big guidebook and sit with it and ponder. I love those decks with big guidebooks. I'm gonna share some of them later, of decks where you sit there and you ponder and you take your time and you let things infuse just like a really strong tea. But sometimes you just need a deck to just tell you what you need to know and move on. And this is honestly such a good sniper for that. It truly is a sniper. It shoots straight and never really misses. So here are the backs which I love. Obviously it's the ocean and the sunshine, like sign me up, I'm here for it. And because it's called the Power of Surrender cards, which I think my friend Niha told me there's a book too called the Power of Surrender, which I need to get at some point on my Kindle. Every single card is a suggestion to surrender something. So the way that the deck works is like you would approach it thinking, what do I need to let go of? What do I need to surrender? What is blocking my situation? What is standing in the way of my projects? What is standing in the way of me succeeding for my dreams? What is challenging me right now? What do I need to look at? What is blocking me? What am I not seeing? You get the gist. All of those kind of questions that are about blockages. And I truly appreciate and values how useful and correct and on point this deck is, and I've been really falling in love with it in the last recent months and rediscovering how good it is and how useful it is and how it helps me to kind of hone into what I kind of maybe don't want to look at in my life and yet need to, in order to let things go, in order to just open myself up to new possibilities, and maybe to be a bit less rigid or needing to control things. So we have lots of different ones. We have surrender to creativity, for example, let your imagination soar, stay open to all creative ideas about how to pursue a dream or solve a problem. This one is more light, I would say, and you get that you're like, okay, I need to be more creative, be more in the flow, be open to making mistakes, just trying new things and be creative, have fun, have play. Some of them are a lot more darker, like surrender the idea you can fix someone. Ouch, that hurts, right? And yet you can all fall victim to that sometimes. It's time for a relationship to shift. It doesn't work to try to fix someone. Each person must be accountable for his or her own healing. So this is very balanced. We have lighter and darker themes, and this is just truly amazing. I love this deck. It's very, like I was saying, sharpshooter. I use it at night usually for like just one last message on my day, or I use it when I'm really feeling those times of blockage. I feel like I'm just banging my head against the wall. What's the problem here? What do I need to uncover? I would say this is a torch that allows me to go in the shadow and find the thing that I need to look at, and then I might use other decks to dig deeper, to use as the shovel to dig, or as the bucket to take the dirt out, if we're continuing this weird mining metaphor I'm using for shadow work. This would be the torch that prepares me to go in the dark so that I already know what I'm looking for, and that is very helpful, especially when you are completely lost and you don't know where to turn. So I think this is honestly a very versatile deck because it covers so many things. I think you could use it for day-to-day issues, like why am I not finding a job? And then you could pull a card and being like, surrender your ego. Oh, okay, rude, the audacity. But surrender your ego. So maybe your ego is standing in the way of you finding a new job. And here it says, cultivate gratitude, be of service to others, come from the heart. A big ego can work against you, but humility will further your goals. Or you could use it for emotional questions like, why am I struggling to connect with my friends? Or why am I having issues with my families? Whatever the question is, I think honestly this is helpful. It's another hidden gem. I'll definitely include it in my future episodes for hidden gem mass market decks, because this is one of the most underrated decks in my opinion. Let's talk about a little indie oracle deck that I've had for I think 3 years. Yeah, I think 2020 I bought this. This comes from a creator in New Zealand, I believe. Their Etsy shop, I will leave the link down below. I think they're called Hand Me That Pencil. I love what they do. I have a couple of their decks and I intend on getting more because I really adore what they do, and they have a unique style which is very beautiful, very inclusive, very interesting. And also the decks for indie decks are very affordable because the way that the creator sends this is that they send the cards, just the cards, in shrink wrapped in the mail, so you don't have a box, which is why I've made a little pouch here. That way, because it ships from New Zealand, it actually is a lot cheaper, it's a lot more affordable. And for me, living in Reunion, it didn't take very long for me to get this deck. So I have this one, I have another one. If I do another one of those videos on Oracle decks that I've been enjoying or that I want to kind of shout out, let me know if you enjoy those videos about oracles. I'm happy to do a part 2 at some point, and in this case I'll share the other decks I have from this creator because I also really love it. But today I wanted to talk about this one. It's called Tiny Rituals, Ways to Love Yourself Better. This one, it doesn't have too many cards. I think it's like 40 or 30, between 30 and 40 I would say, I'm not sure. And for me, this is a deck that I use purely for wrapping up readings. This is a perfect kind of deck when I just want to round everything up. I've done my tarot reading. I've used some oracle decks in my readings as well, maybe for expanding the message. Sometimes even I do full oracle readings not using tarot, but I need a card to just be the last message, the last guidance, the thing that's gonna wrap everything up, that's gonna just be the nice bow on top of the gift, I would say, or like the cherry on top of the cake. This is that for me. It's that deck that I love to use for my last message of guidance, last message from either my guides or other people's guides if I'm reading for others, or their higher self, like just that last bit of guidance that is almost like a pep talk and that helps them to remember everything we've talked about in just one sentence. And so this is very empowering, it's very loving, it's very like motivational, but it's not inhumane. It still, I think, is very rooted in the fact that we all feel things and that we have good days and bad days. And so it's not quotes that are meant to like be very love and light. I think it still addresses things can be hard, but the combination of the artwork, which is so rooted in modern day, all those people, I feel like we could see them in the street and recognize them, so I love that, paired with those sentences which I think are just beautiful. It's just a lovely deck. I love the fact that we have different ages, different skin tones, different body types. That is definitely one of my favorite things about a deck. I love to see it. A lot of the cards are just relatable, like protect your energy, who you are shouldn't hide, gift your body comfort, and this little this person in their little PJs are just so sweet. Unveil who you really are, stop waiting around. It's simple, it's straight to the point. One of those that I love to have around my desk, even when I just need a little message of like guidance, something I'm having a little bit of a low time, I'm feeling a bit blue, I just pull a card and it's just gonna be one of those that's just straight away give me a boost of energy, a little bit of a good mood vibe. I don't know if I included this in my good mood decks video, but if I didn't, I should have, because this is definitely also a good mood decks, I think. Let's move on to another indie deck that I've been absolutely loving. This is the theme of this video, the Heart's Eye Oracle by Olivia Rose. You know what, I got it sometime last year, and I've been loving it ever since. I'm so happy because this particular creator, I believe, has released since another indie oracle. The one I have is all about fae creatures, as you're gonna see. She's released a new one that is about mermaids. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll leave the link to her shop down below. And I believe she's just released with US Games a tarot deck, and it looks beautiful. And I'm so excited for her to put out more and more things in the world because I think she's super talented. And I'll definitely get her tarot deck whenever I get the chance to buy in English decks, mass market decks, but now that Book Depository has closed, it's super complicated for me to get mass market English decks, so we'll see. Whenever I'm able to get it, I'll definitely pick it up because it looks cool. But for now, let's talk about her oracle deck, the Heart's Eye Oracle. Here are the backs, which are beautiful. This is on a very beautiful matte finish cardstock. It just feels so buttery, but it doesn't stick. It's like that really nice quality. It's an experience. I don't talk about cardstock often, but this truly feels indie. Like the quality is nice, it feels nice to use, so that's already part of the experience of using the deck. Like I was saying, this is very much rooted in the Fae world, and the keywords again are very well balanced, and you might realize as you're watching my videos that this is something I usually enjoy in my oracle decks, at least some of my oracle decks, especially decks that I want to use with tarot. So if I'm using a deck like the ones I've just shown you before, that's purely for wrapping up a reading, I don't necessarily need it to be balanced, because I just want a last message of support, of comfort. So even if it's a little bit too positive, it's okay. It's part of the deal. It's part of what I'm looking for. However, if I want to use an oracle deck to either pair with a tarot deck or even act as a tarot and do a full-on reading with this, where we're going to be looking at, I don't know, let's say it's a month ahead reading. I want to look at the energies of the month, what to expect, what the blockages, what to work with, what do I need to lean into, what is supporting me. I need something that's going to be balanced, right? I need something that's going to be as light as it is dark, because that's life. And if I want to have a unbiased look at my months ahead, I need something that's going to be not all positive, because the chances are my months ahead might not be all positive. So a deck like this one is usually, where we have such balanced keywords, is usually one I love to use for those types of readings, where I'm going to either pair the oracle with the tarot, or I'm going to use the oracle as a tarot. This is one of those for me that can act as a standalone, or that can pair with tarot beautifully, that is just on top of that really beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, like the artwork does it for me. So ethereal and magical, and it helps me to escape, and it helps me to bring a bit of magic to my day-to-day life, and it's just a really enjoyable experience. Each card you have keywords, and then you have your guidance message. I will say the one thing that is not the most practical is that the cards are not in alphabetical order. As you can see, we go from peace to hope to trust to worry, so it's not in an alphabetical order, and there's no numbers on the card, so that can make looking for the card you're looking for a little bit tricky. Honestly, I've been mostly using this deck without the guidebook, because I find the images to be so intuitive that it's not been a huge problem for me, but I just wanted to put it out there. Let's move on to another mass market little deck that I've had for years. Again, this is an oldie but a goodie. This is the Goddess Oracle by Amy Sofia Marashinsky and illustrated by Hannah Gento. Probably saying that wrong, I'm so sorry. This, I don't have the box anymore because I've had this for so long. I think I lost the box somewhere somewhere in the ether. The fairies took it. I don't even know if this is still in print. I'm hoping it is, because it's a really cool deck, and it's been around for a long time, so I'll try and find it. If I find it, I will put it down below. This is originally from, who is that from? US Games, yeah. So I think it's still in print, but it's been around for ages. And normally it comes with big white borders, but I've trained mine right at the beginning when I was starting my journey of trimming. I was trimming everything I could get my hands on, so I didn't do it very well. As you can see, it's actually atrocious. I know you're judging me. I can hear you judge me, but you know what? It's okay. This is not perfect, and I'm not perfect, so my imperfect self and my imperfect deck go very well together. Here are the backs, which I don't love, because I don't love when backs say the name of the decks on the back. I don't know, it's one of those pet peeves of mine. I prefer simple backs, mostly because when you do pick a card readings, things like that, I don't know, it's just not as pretty. And as you can see, some of my backings, I don't even know what did that, but I guess use, maybe me being a klutz, drinking tea, whatever it is, so there's some discoloration there. This is well used, okay? It's seen some shit. It's a war veteran. It's definitely been around, and it's seen a lot, but I still love this deck. I want to say that the guidebook is probably what makes this deck the most amazing thing, and I'll share it with you in a moment. I just want to share with you some of the images. So this is a goddess oracle, and you're gonna get goddesses from different parts of the world. There's Egyptian pantheon, Greek pantheon, some African goddesses, some Celtic goddesses. There's a bit of everything. Each goddess is linked to a specific keyword, And the artwork, first of all, is just truly spectacular. I think it's so beautiful, and the reason why I went with this particular goddess oracle when I first started my kind of oracle journey, this was one of the very first decks I bought, oracle decks at least, because I love the fact that the different persons represented here, we had different ethnicities, we had different ages, and that felt correct for me, representing goddesses. Like if I'm seeing Egyptian goddesses, I want my Egyptian goddesses to look like they come from Egypt, right? I don't want some skinny white girls, I'm sorry. So this already was like a plus for me, to feel like they embodied the goddess, to look like they came from the places in the world that they came from. That was already a huge plus, because at the time we didn't have much choice either. So there wasn't as much diversity in decks and things like that. So to see one to try to do that, it was already like, yes, thank you, I appreciate it. I find the artwork so beautiful. I think that they've really managed to depict the essence of each goddess so well. And so already for that, look at that, this beautiful, beautiful artwork. I won't even try to say this goddess. One of my favorite cards is Sulis. I don't know if we've seen her yet, but she's a goddess I work with a lot. Again, chronic illness, chronic pain related. She is a Celtic, and also was revered in Celtic France as well, for having healing properties and looking over healing sources, healing rivers and such. And so I love this particular card. It's a card I've worked with so much. It's actually the deck I use for my full moon readings at the moment. I'm back to dedicated in my following of the moon cycles this year, because I know, thanks to the reading I got from the wonderful Niha from Dark Fate Tarot, who I got an astrological reading for my birthday, that the moon is a very strong player in my natal chart this year. Like, it plays an important part, the moon, in my chart. And so I've been more dedicated to following the full moon and the new moon, to kind of work with those energies and to journal about it and to see how it comes up in my life. I've gone in and out of following moon cycles. When I first got into spirituality and those things, I was super dedicated. I was following every full moon and new moon. And then as I got kind of sicker, I was going in and out of it, because honestly it was very dependent on my health. Like, some days I just didn't have it in me to do anything for the full moon, because I was just bedbound and I couldn't move. So I kind of had to let go and just let things be. But this year I'm going back to it. I'm journaling about it. I'm putting cards around it, and especially pulling one goddess every full moon and new moon to work with that particular energy for that duration of the moon phase. And for the whole full moon, so from full moon to new moon, I use this particular oracle deck, and I plan to continuing on doing that the rest of the year. So I'll be so this is gonna turn out to be one of my most used decks of the year for sure, because it's not leaving my altar. And what makes this deck so good for me for the moon practices that I'm following is mostly due to the richness of the guidebook. First, the variety of goddesses is very good, and I've been enjoying it so much and learning so much and working with different aspects of the divine feminine. It's been truly an empowering experience, and the guidebook is truly fantastic. So for each card you have the keyword, you have a poem, which are always so profound and beautiful. I love this might be my favorite part of the guidebook. You have a little bit about who that goddess is, and honestly this is quite small, so usually if it's a goddess that I've never heard about, I will then go and do my research, whatever I can find. If I want to go deeper, like, this could be enough, but sometimes I like to just go deeper. I like to learn. I'm a student at heart, so I usually take this as a starting point and then go and do my research if it's someone I've never heard about. Then you get your guidance message, and those guidance messages are very much around empowering you, around healing you. They're very profound and deep, but always like done in a way to help lift your spirits. So I think the writing in this guidebook particularly is wonderful, and this is one of my favorite oracles guidebooks that I've ever used, to be honest. And then you have usually little ritual for each of the cards. The ritual can be a visualization, a breathing exercise, a meditation, a journaling exercise. Sometimes it's making something. I'm not gonna lie, I don't always do the rituals. If it's something around meditation and visualization, I will, but if it's something else, sometimes I just can't be bothered, and that's okay. It really depends on how I'm feeling, my energy levels that day, but the messages in the guidebook in terms of the guidance and the poems are always so inspiring. Okay, let's move on to the Poesis Oracle, which is this I have is the mass market French edition, but you can get this in English as an indie edition. So if you are okay with using cards that are in a different language, then you might want to check out this deck as the French mass market, and I'll leave a link down for it down below, because I think it'll be cheaper than buying the indie English edition. And the reason why you could totally get the French mass market deck and be okay is because the guidebook for this, which are actually poems, so Poesis, it's inspired by poesy, by poems obviously, and so the each card doesn't actually come with a guidance or anything like that, it comes with a poem. And the library of poems in English exists online on the creator's website. So if you wanted to get this particular French version, you could, and then you would go on her website and find all of her poems in English, and what you could do is just write the English keywords here, for example. Just an idea, but I know I've talked about it with a lot of people who are like, hey, I've done that, and you know what, thank you. I'm just putting it out there. I actually backed the Kickstarter in 2020 when it was first released, and I never received my copy. It just got lost. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in the ether somewhere. Again, the phase would have that along with some of my lost tarot and oracle boxes. And then when I went to the bookshop a couple of years later, I realized they had released it in French mass market, and I was like, amazing, I'm gonna take you home with me, because I've been wanting this deck anyway, because obviously I backed it on Kickstarter, so I believed in its project. And this is, like I was saying, a poem kind of based oracle. So each card represents a concept. Behind each concept we have a poem that was written by Andrea Wan. The cards are all on black and white. The artwork is very minimalist, which actually means that it pairs really well with a lot of different tarot decks. And in terms of aesthetic, I really enjoyed using this deck in different readings, because it does go with a lot of things. On top of that, for me, what truly is outstanding about the deck, honestly, it's the fact that everything is relating to the poems. Like, the poems are beautiful, they're very touching, and the keywords on each card are unique and different. There's a lot of cards, I think 78 cards, which are 77, sorry, which we love. If you're a tarot user, you're used to 78, so for me, the more cards the better. Quality of the keyword actually for me is what makes this deck stand out. So here we have root. Here we have abundance, that's one a bit more common, I would say, but we have fear, home, earth, wisdom, to make, observe, listen, love this card, probably one of my favorite ones, noise, explore, quest, disillusion, wound. Another very well balanced oracle deck. We have some lighter concepts, more shadowy concepts like chaos, for example, or fear. So this is super balanced, which means that it pairs beautifully when you're doing tarot readings and you want a deck that's gonna be as balanced and as kind of like versatile as a tarot deck. This is one of those. On top of that, 77 cards, so you know it's gonna be very good and have a lot of like an array of keywords and concepts. The guidebook is for me where it's at, and I've actually been enjoying reading both the French guidebook and the going on the online library, because I find that depending if I read it in French or English, the words will have different effects on me, and so I enjoy seeing how everything was translated. I will say that for people who are French speaking and who might worry that the translation was not done well, honestly the translation of the poems is extremely well done, so I can only commend whoever translated it. They've done a great job. So this for me is on par with an oracle deck such as the Reclaim Oracle, which is a super popular deck in the community. It's a deck we all love. I talk about it all the time. It's a great deck, but this is on par with that, and this is something that you can get mass market, and it goes as deep for me. But they both have different uses. Like the Reclaim for me helps me to look more at emotions and explore my heart. This, I would say, is more, for me, the way I've used it is more connecting with my higher self, maybe on a more mental / psychological kind of way. So the Reclaim, definitely a lot more emotionally focused, whereas this would be maybe a little bit more mental / psychologically focused. At least that's how I've been experiencing it myself. For those of you who have both, I'd love to know how you found different use for them. But for me, even though they could seem similar because they're both limited color palettes, they both have those type of keywords that are very centered around emotions and like human experiences, etc. They still are very different and have different use in my practice. And obviously here the addition of a poem is what gives the Poesis Oracle another edge, I think. Okay, I think we'll end the video here. If you enjoy this particular video where I talk about oracle decks that I've been loving, that maybe I've not been talking a lot about, that just I thought deserved a little bit more of a spotlight and things like that, then let me know. I'm very happy to make a part 2. I had other decks I thought about. So let me know if you've enjoyed this particular subject. Thank you so much for being here. I super appreciate you watching, commenting, liking, just being there. It means the world. I hope you're all doing well wherever you are, and until my next video, I'm sending you so much good vibes and keep navigating the waves of your soul. Bye!